o'clock. And this is the meeting of our regular city council meeting for Tuesday, May 28th. For the city council, City of Rialto, who's acting as successor agency to the redevelopment agency and the Rialto Utility Authority, as well as the Rialto Housing Authority. So, Madam City Clerk, if you would be so kind as to call roll call.
Mayor Robinson,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Caracellis,
Present.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Present.
Councilmember Scott, Councilmember Baca,
Present.
City Attorney.
No.
Is he in the building?
Oh.
No. Councilmember Scott is in the building. He just walked in. City,
Manager.
sorry, interim city manager Mike Milheiser. Present. He's here.
He's here. He's present. All right.
Okay.
Well, with that,
The city attorney.
is the city attorney
Excuse me,
present?
just for the record, the city attorney is here as well.
Oh,
Three parties today.
Oh, well,
I'm
I
not,
needed legal advice.
I'm not bucking
needed
anybody.
legal
They all
advice?
here, I'm counting the road. So
Okay,
everybody's-
well,
we're good.
City Attorney, would you care to lead us into closed session?
I would be happy to do that, Mayor. Thank you. We have three primary items on the closed session today. The first is a conference with legal counsel with regard to one item of existing litigation. This happens to deal with the Rialto Bioenergy Facility bankruptcy. The second item is a conference with legal counsel with regard to two items of anticipated litigation. One is a claim, and the other one has to do with litigation item review. The third item is a conference with your labor negotiator.
All right,
There are no members of the public here to ask questions.
seeing none, I would entertain a motion to move.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem, I thought I heard, no, by Councilmember, well, you need to lean back. So I hear Councilmember Baca, and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. Any objections? Hearing none, I just heard, we're in closed session. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order. It is the regular meeting of the Rialto City Council today at 6:33 p.m. And this is our meeting of the City Council as well as acting as the successor agency, the redevelopment agency, the Rialto Utility Authority, and the Rialto Housing Authority. Madam City Clerk, would you do a roll call, please?
Mayor Robertson,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Carrie Sellers,
Present.
Councilmember Baca,
Present.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Present.
Councilmember Scott,
Present.
City Treasurer Ed Correa,
Present.
City Attorney Eric Bell,
Present.
Interim City Manager Mike Milheiser.
Present.
Okay, is that it? All right, good. Well then, with that done, I would ask if everybody in the audience would be so kind as to stand and join Councilmember Scott as he leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Then remain standing for the invocation by Pastor Javier Reyes, Calvary Chapel, Rialto.
Please join us in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing. Oh, there he is.
Let's go ahead and bow our heads. Father, we thank you in these moments, Lord, that you have allowed us this time, Lord, to come together and pray and seek, Lord, that you would direct the decisions that will be made here this evening. And Lord, with the respective council members, dear God, and our mayor, I pray that you would grant them wisdom as they realize the places of authority and responsibility that you've given them, dear God, have come through you. Lord, you stirred the hearts of the people in the city of Rialto to elect them and vote them into office, dear God. And I pray that as they make decisions today, Lord, and in the weeks to come, Lord, that they would realize, Lord, that they're an instrument on your behalf and acting on behalf of these people in the city of Rialto. We pray as they come to different resolutions, dear God, as they consider different measures, whether it's housing and authority, dear God. I pray that you would grant them the infinite wisdom that can only come from you. And so again, we pray and ask all these things in the name of Jesus. And we all said, amen.
Amen. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Okay, again, I would ask if our city attorney would be so kind as to report out on closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd be happy to do that. We had three primary items on our closed session tonight. The first was a conference with legal counsel with regard to one item of existing litigation. That was the bankruptcy case of Rialto Bioenergy Facility. You had a briefing with the city attorney. There was no other reportable action on that item. Item two was a conference with legal counsel with regard to two items of potential litigation. Those are listed in the agenda. You had briefings from both your risk manager and your third-party claims adjuster with regard to those items. You did give direction, but there's no reportable action on those items. And finally, you did have a conference with your labor negotiator. You did talk about bargaining groups that are still in negotiation and gave direction to your labor negotiator, but there was no reportable action on that. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now this is, we're going to go into presentations and proclamations, and we have 4 of the various items to present. And I'm starting off with a certificate of recognition for Amber Barrios, San Bernardino County Probation. Is Amber here? There you are, sitting back, leaning back. Okay, come on over here. First off, I don't quite know why we're giving you this. You're not going anywhere, are you? Okay, thank you. Okay, I want to make sure, but I'm really pleased to acknowledge you and give you this certificate of recognition from the city of Rialto. Officer Barrios has been with the probation department for over 12 years. She began her career in 2012 as a probation correction officer trainee and was assigned to the High Desert Juvenile Detention and Assessment Center. She was promoted to probation officer, correction officer, and was assigned to the Maximum Security Unit. She transferred to Central Valley Juvenile Detention and Assessment Center in 2014 and was assigned to various living units, including transportation. In 2016, Officer Barrios, I'm saying it right, I hope, was promoted to probation officer too. As a probation officer, she has worked various assignments, including adult high supervision in San Bernardino, the multiple enforcement team, and the domestic violence unit. In January of 2022, P.O. Barrios was assigned to the Rialto Police Department's Community Service Bureau and one of the first community action response engagement officers for the city of Rialto. Barrios was responsible for offering resources and support to those members of the community that are currently homeless and are currently on active probation. Supervision or mandatory supervision. Barrios assisted with coordinating 2 shelters, court events and community resource fairs at the Carl Johnson. Over the 2 events, 97 clients were seen for outreach and court services. Approximately 278 misdemeanor cases were heard. Barrios also acts as a liaison to the Rialto police officers with any questions or need for assistance concerning subjects on active probation. She would provide officers with information to include the terms and conditions of the subject's probation, which often leads to the subject being out of compliance and receiving a probation violation charge. She would also, with completing residential compliance checks with officers of problem probationers that would generate negative calls for services. She's been assisting in our department with our PD. She is a much known and recognized face amongst us. I see her all the time in some of our community outreach events. And so it's with great pleasure and honor that I present you with this certificate of recognition. And I think there's a couple of officers who would like to come up and speak or be in the shot and let the community see. Come on over here, you guys. All of you.
He said, I'll do it. Thank you so much.
And you have words, comments, other than, yes, now I know you're not going
see,
anywhere.
now there, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Few words to the community.
Let's see, I'm all testing. Okay, it works. So, no, I want to thank the city of Rialto. You guys have been phenomenal. Everybody on the council members, every aspect of this government over here in the city has just been absolutely a joy to work with. I really appreciate everything that you guys do in your hard work, especially the men and women that I get to serve next to, day in and day out at Rialto. Ooh, I'm gonna get choked up. I didn't know what to expect when I came to Rialto, and I've worked with a lot of different agencies, and I can't say hands down that this is by far one of my favorite, not because I was here for 2.5 years, but definitely one of my favorite agencies. The men and women just put their head down, they grind, and they really work very hard for this city. And I'm proud to be a part of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Amber. Thank you. All right. Family's taking pictures. You got it? All right. Thank you so much. And again, I think Councilmember Scott has his light on. I know if he had something he wanted to say. But no, I really do appreciate you've just part of the team, and it's great to always see you. Thank you.
Corporal Martinez.
Oh, I'm sorry. Corporal
Yeah, Madam Mayor.
Martinez, yes.
How you doing, ma'am? It's
I'm doing
great
fine.
to see you. Council members. Now, I'd just like to say, Amber, it was phenomenal to work next to you. Your knowledge of outreach for the citizens in this community was phenomenal. Your replacement, Sarge, I'm sorry, he's going to have some huge, huge shoes to fill. Not only did I get to supervise Amber for 2 years, but as a professional level, but also on a personal level. She's a great woman. She's a great person, big heart, and that shows when she's out there in the community helping these individuals who need outreach help, whether they're on probation or whether they just need help in general. Amber has a huge heart, and I think that's what makes her so successful in what she does. Amber, it's gonna be hard not seeing you come in anymore, but we look forward to your replacement coming in, and we look forward to you continuing to help us out because your knowledge is just unbelievable. So thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, thank you. Did you have something?
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate Amber, and every event that we put on here in the city, she's always there with the biggest smile and always making our community feel at home. So I just want to thank you for being there for the city, for our residents, and thanks for all the hard work you've done here in the city of Rialto. Congratulations.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
And Amber, before you leave,
Yes.
I thought you said you weren't going anywhere, but somewhere I heard there's going to be a replacement that won't be able to fill your shoes, or he's going to have to work hard. So where are you going?
I was promoted. So I was promoted to
Oh, that's
corporal
good.
in our department. And so unfortunately, when that happens, I have to get pulled back. So I'll be going back. The good thing is though, I will still be able to have a really good nexus with Rialto. I have, everybody's numbers, they got my numbers, and hopefully we could do some more positive work within the city of Rialto.
Well, thank you, and congratulations on a
Thank you.
promotion.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, the next presentation hopefully will be by Mr. Scott McAfee, if he's here. There's Scott. And that presentation is going to be informative and sharing some information about the Rialto on Wheel event. And Don's Bicycle.
All right, thank you. I am Scott McAfee. I'm the owner of Don's Bicycle Store in Rialto, obviously. And my dad started the business back in 1959, which is kind of cool. So I've been around for a little while. I took it over when I was 18 years old when he passed away. So I've been doing this myself for quite a while now. And to celebrate our 65th anniversary, we thought, let's do something cool. So we kind of had the idea. I talked it over with the mayor for several months. We were batting ideas back and forth, and we came up with Rialto on Wheels. So what is Rialto on Wheels? I don't know if do we have our pictures? Okay, there we go. So these are just kind of some images of what the event took place on April the 27th, which April was the month that marked our 65th anniversary. So let's do something cool. So it was several things, actually. We wanted to do an event that had a little something for everybody. So we did a Bikes Kids Rodeo in the morning. And a kids rodeo, for those of you who don't know, it's something that the Rialto City has done previously. Haven't done it because with COVID going on, but now that we kind of reestablished that. But the idea is for little ones to learn safety, to go through a little obstacle course, kind of learn the rules of the roads. And so anyways, that's a couple shots of the bike rodeo there. So we had that going on for the little ones. We also had a vintage BMX bike show. So these are bikes from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Actually, we had some bikes show up from the 50s. So these are some really cool collectible bikes. My goal was to have about 100 bikes on display, and we actually had over that. We had people come out from Orange County, from LA County for our event as well. So people came from all over to participate. We handed out 12 awards, including Best of Show, which went to like this amazing 1956 beach cruiser that looked like, it was crazy. It looked like it was brand new. So we had the Vintage BMX Bike Show. We also had a ride out. There's our awards there. We also had a ride out. So a ride out is, typically it focuses on the kids that are involved in the big wheel BMX bikes. You might see them doing the wheelies and the tricks and the stunts here and there. But it's kind of a growing thing. And as a business owner, I'm excited about it because for me, anything that gets a kid on a bike as opposed to doing this, like all day long, like all the rest of us, is a good thing. It's physical, it's social, and it kind of cuts across a lot of different age brackets and demographics. It's like ages 13 to like guys in their 50s participating, the men and women participate in this activity. And we've seen some of these ride outs. Some of the bigger ones, you'll have 1,000 people show up. So we wanted to incorporate that in our event. Actually, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. We also partnered with Big Brothers Big Sisters, but I'm going to come back to that in a moment. So we had about 150 riders show up for our ride out. We mapped out a course with Rialto PD. It was about a 7-mile course. Took about an hour and a half to complete the course, but we had Rialto PD give us an escort for the event. And PD's been great. They actually helped us out with some of the other ride-outs we've done, and I'll share one little quick story you might appreciate. But so we're out there, the cops are giving us an escort, and some of my staff is out there with the kids as well. And at one point, it just coincidentally, a helicopter managed to be flying overhead, and one of the kids goes, "You got a helicopter too?" And my staff goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, this is amazing." So anyways, but we did have a ride out. In addition to that, one of our sponsors, GT Bicycles, that's been around forever, sent out their pro freestyle team. GT was one of our main sponsors of the event. They sent out a freestyle team, so basically we took over the block around City Hall in addition to the skate park. So at the skate park, we had about a half dozen pros that came out, did an exhibition for people. That kind of capped off the event. And also they invited people from the locals to come out and ride with them. So they kind of gave them some instruction, signed autographs, kind of had a nice little discussion. Finally, we had a bicycle industry expo. So I invited it out to, there's a few of the booths that were there, invited out to members of the bike industry to come out, set up a booth, particularly focusing on electric bikes, since we now have a rideshare program in Rialto. And electric bikes are the fastest growing category of bikes sold in the United States. If you haven't ridden one, you should try one. They're really cool and fun. So we had several companies from, there's actually the rideshare supervisor, Cameron, showing off one of the rideshare bikes. So we wanted to focus on electric bikes, and that was really successful. So it gave people the opportunity to try out some of the latest and greatest in electric bikes. So what were the results? The rodeo was well attended. I know myself, I saw a line of kids, sometimes 10, 12 deep, waiting to take their course and get instruction. Again, we had approximately 150 riders participate in the ride out, and we handed out close to 60 helmets to kids that didn't have helmets because we wanted them to be safe. That was something we were after, because kind of the focus on this was awareness of cycling, but also awareness of safety as well. So the rideshare sponsored 60 helmets that we handed out. We had about 100 bikes, as I mentioned, on display at the bike show, and we handed out, again, about a dozen awards. We did partner with Big Brothers Big Sisters. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I've been looking for the right partner to do this because we have a lot of kids that are considered at risk. There are thousands of kids in the foster care system in San Bernardino County, and I've been trying to partner with the county forever to kind of get kids or at-risk youth involved in this ride-out community, involved in cycling, and even foster some mentorship along with it. Couldn't really get anywhere with the county, but Big Brothers Big Sisters had already started partnering with some people doing these ride-outs. So I brought them out, and we did some raffles, and we raised $850 for Big Brothers Big Sisters, which was pretty cool. And I myself have signed up to be a Big Brother as of about a week ago. I haven't been matched with anybody yet. Thank you. But I figure, I'd be a hypocrite if I'm encouraging people to get involved with this organization if I myself am not participating. So I figure I'm going to try it out, see what it's like. And I do have other people that are ready to be mentors, but I thought, okay, just stand back. Let me go through this myself, and I'll tell you all about it. We did also have several, I would call them celebrities from the bike community out there. We had Perry Kramer. His name is PK Ripper, but he was a national champion from back in the day. He came out to be our celebrity head judge. So he was the guy that would settle any, judging. If the judges couldn't agree on who was the best bike of that show, he would step up as the head judge. So he was our head judge. We also had a guy named Jason Mathis who just won the BMX World Championships for racing. So that was pretty cool to have him out there as well. And really our goal was to have a solid event, that we could learn from whatever mistakes we're going to make, just to have a good event where people had a good time. We got a lot of good feedback from the community. One woman came up and said, this is really cool you guys did that, and I'm glad I can have my son go out and do this ride-out where I know he's safe. So these were some of the comments and feedback we got from the community. We want to make it an annual event. We want to make it an event that comes up on the calendar. I'm targeting the last Saturday in April. That seemed to work out because you're figuring, okay, when do you do this thing? I didn't want to do it in the summer when it's really hot, but I want to get at least out of the fall, and we get rid of hopefully the rainy season. We lucked out. We got a great weather day, which really helped. And I do want to increase my collaboration with the city. We'd like to make this a city-sponsored event. So that's what I'm throwing out to you guys now. We do want to make it a bigger, better event, I think, every year. I think this is something we can grow, and we're already pulling people from different areas to participate in this, but word spreads. Once you kind of get the word out that, hey, this is a really cool thing, and I'm coming back next year, and I'm going to tell all my friends, then it'd be something really, really neat to add to the city. So anyways, thanks to Barbara McGee, too, by the way, for her help on this event. She had been putting on a bike rodeo for quite some time, and again, didn't do it for a couple of years because of COVID, and we've been kind of partnering with her on that. So it's kind of nice to combine all these things under one umbrella. So that is Rialto on Wheels. So any
Well, thank you, thank you. No, it was a fantastic
Yeah.
event, and I'm glad that it finally worked out and came together. I appreciate, like you said, Healthy Rialto through the city clerk's office and our bike rodeo. It seemed to really work well. I think the one thing that you didn't put out there was the thing that was really exciting was that we had, I believe, 5 electric bikes that had been donated. And through the clerk's office, we had residents who received those bikes through a drawing and a raffle. So
Yep.
there was a wonderful turnout on that. I want to acknowledge that I know I saw my colleagues out there. I know that Mayor Pro Tem, he came, as
Yep.
well as myself and
There you are.
Councilmember Baca, he came out. And so I think it's good. It was a perfect time for us.
Cool.
Anybody else? Mayor
Yes,
Pro
no,
Tem?
I just want to say it was a great event. I'm glad to see that we're adopting programs that include, and as you said, there's so many of our youth that are into their bikes and going off to the skate park and doing the all the activities over there. I just want to make sure to continue to focus on the safety, because as much as it's great to see these kids out and not on their phone, as you mentioned, we need to make sure they're safe, and we need to make sure that they are, you probably know what that trick where they run right into the cars and then turn it.
Right.
What is that called?
I don't even know what stupidity is what I would
Well,
call that.
I didn't want to say that.
Yeah. No, you're right. There's definitely an element within the, we obviously can't control people doing other rides or when they're on their own time. But the important thing is when they show up to our ride, this is about safety. And that's the other thing about having the police involved. Because not only is it a good relationship between the cops and the riders, because sometimes there's this adversarial relationship between like teenagers and the
Really? Nah.
Yes.
No, not at all. But this was something that I think
he
was
talking
good
about?
for both sides, but also they know, like, look, the cops don't do anything stupid. And if you want to do something stupid, my staff is out there to make sure you also do something stupid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least if nowhere else, they're going to learn safety at our event.
Yeah,
You got to wear a helmet. You don't do anything dumb. And I tell them that before they left. Like, look, I want you back in one piece, please. You know?
I think it's a great opportunity, and probably capitalize on the fact that, all the safety items that you have, and really capitalize on that, because that's one of the things that I've seen grow, and especially when, like Rialto High School, when the kids are getting out. But
Right.
it was such a great event, well attended. My kids had fun. I actually jumped on a bike, and now I want to get one. So
Now you're hooked.
I'm
Now
going to
you're
stop by and get some advice on
Sure.
what bike I should get.
Sure, and the other one thing I did want to mention as well, with Big Brothers Big Sisters, I think they had like at least half dozen of their members show up with their littles. If they didn't have bikes, we actually provided bikes, so we got bikes for those that didn't have them. So we wanted them to participate as well. So that was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, it was really nice. There was actually entire families that were out there with
Yeah.
their kids, and so
That was great.
great event. Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
And I
all.
just want to say congratulations on Don's bike.
Yeah.
65th anniversary.
yeah.
That's quite a bit.
I know.
And I'm always proud to say that Don's bike started here. And then they created another location in Redlands.
Correct.
So everything starts in Rialto.
Right. No, for sure. And I wanted to do this event here. I mean, look, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I didn't want to do it in Redlands. I wanted to do it here.
Yes, well, thank
Yeah.
you, and we appreciate that, and I look forward to being committed to being involved with it next year, all
Thank-
right? So
thank
thank
you
you
all.
so much. And,
So, Madam Mayor and Council,
excuse me, I'm sorry,
yeah,
what
all I
did you say?
wanted to say was,
Oh.
it did not take the place of the bike rodeo. It's a partnership with the bike rodeo, with Don's Bike. So I just wanted to make that.
Okay, yeah,
I
no,
know
it
he
was-
said it at the end.
Yeah.
He gave all that accolade, but it's a partnership.
It's a partnership,
yes.
but I think
Yes.
what I also took from it was you're combining the
Yes.
event, so we won't
Yes.
have a bike rodeo apart from it, but it
No,
is
it'll
now a
be part of it.
partnership of bringing the two.
Yes,
And I just want you guys to know that Rialto on Wheels really was what I was calling our local transport system we were hoping to do for our residents, better known as the row, Rialto on Rails, because in Cerritos, it's the cow. So, but they picked it up and used it on the wheel, so I'll accept that too. Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Now, next presentation, following right up on that, is the e-bike program that was featured out there as well. So, Ms.
Hi.
Alvarado.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. We will be providing you an update on our Rialto e-bike program.
Okay.
I am going to let Rodney, our admin analyst, do the presentation for you, as he's been the lead in the department for this particular program. So let me introduce Rodney.
Mayor Robertson, Pro Tem Andy Carrizales, council members, it's a pleasure to see you guys about the bike program again. Last time we spoke, there were a lot of shifts and changes, and you guys asked for updates on the current bike. So I'm going to give you guys where the bike program started, where it's going, or where it's currently at, and where it's going in the very near future. It's been operating for about 10 months now, so a lot has happened in that short time. If we start back at the beginning, though, this program did start back in 2018. When council originally approved for a consultant to conduct a feasibility study to decide how Rialto would best serve their community with an alternative source of transportation. Ideas like the scooters were weighed, bikes with throttles, pedal assisted, the hub-to-hub platform, which we currently use, as well as the free range method, which is when you're done with the bicycle, just leave it within the city limits. The city did not go with that, thankfully. We do use the hub-to-hub method, and we use a pedal-assisted bike that currently is very popular. Needless to say, the city was awarded back in 2021 in spring, and the program officially launched in July 11th, 2023. The bikes were on the ground at 11 locations throughout the city that were pre-approved by council. The city was also funded additional funds in the fall of 2023 to combat some of the issues with inflation and some other unforeseen costs that were incurred after the award. If you look at the right side of the sheet, you'll see the original locations that were approved by council. Not all of them are currently active, but I'm going to go over that so you guys can have an update. This is a look at the current ridership numbers. Now, your ridership numbers are starting back in October, and the numbers they're okay from this perspective. However, if you look at the overall numbers, and if you look at the middle, you can see that this city has done 1,243 miles on these bikes in total. 488 trips. It's an average of 2.5 miles per person who's renting these bikes out. People are riding them. They're getting lots of exercise. Some are using them for commuting. A lot of them are using them over on Pacific Electric Trail, which is one of our hot spots right now. But these bikes definitely are in use. This is a look at the original budget that we received when we were awarded back in spring of 2021. You can see a bulk of the costs were going towards the bicycles themselves. The remainder, the whole $1 million that the city was awarded is broken down with marketing, costs for someone to manage the bikes, which is Drop Mobility, who also worked with Don's, and if Don's is still in, we did enjoy that partnership. Also insurance, and some other, you have your hub locations, as well as the software that is needed to maintain the bike share program. And this last bit on the budget, I'm just going to dabble in, and this was the additional award that we received in the fall. This is to combat the additional costs because of inflation and because of theft and some unforeseen issues that we've had in the bike program. You'll see that a bulk of these funds do go to the city of Rialto so that they can continue to campaign for marketing programs, safety programs, as well as offer riding programs to the community for free at times. And here is the heavy part, which is the theft. There has been some records of theft. From early on, I'd say in July, August, September, October, we were witnessing a lot of theft. The problems were people were using fake credit cards, or they were using prepaid credit cards where people would use something with $5 or $6 on it, and it would allow them to check out the bike, and then they would vanish. That person created a fake account, and there was really no way to audit it. The people that we pay to manage the bike program within this grant, they have figured out a way to combat that issue. So we no longer allow prepaid credit cards or anything like that. So these rentals quickly stopped that allowed people to run off with the bikes. You'll see from probably approximately November till about February, there was little to no negative activity. There were probably 2 bikes that went missing, but they were also recovered very quickly, which is good news. In multiple cases, they've been pulled out of homeless camps. And that's been thanks to PD on several cases that they have either called us or they've notified us that we found a bike, would you guys like to come pick it up? We've had our bike share provider go pick up that bike. In total, we know of 5 phone calls that have happened to PD, Rialto PD, regarding bike issues or bike theft. One of those issues did account for 30 hours of police time. However, that was connected to another issue at the same time. So we can't actually measure how much of that was dedicated towards the bicycles themselves. But they were technically in the same report that they did file. 90% of all theft that does happen within the bike share program, though, is managed by our bike providers, Drop Mobility. They either report it to us, or at times they find the bikes just abandoned because the people who have taken the bikes realize they can't charge the bikes if they don't have the original chargers, or the bikes weigh too much when they don't have power in them to assist you with riding. So it quickly becomes unusable after about 5 days to them, and that's when we recover the bikes, typically. To date, this is a list of our expenditures. Most of the expenses have gone through the subcontractor, which is Drop Mobility, for the purchase of the bikes, operating costs, them fixing the bikes, maintaining the bikes, as well as updating a few things within the software. It's all part of the original grant. These are not additionally random expenditures that have happened through this. And this final bit is where we're taking the bike program. So in the fall of 2023, we constantly talk to our neighboring cities. Long Beach runs a pretty successful bike program. Sacramento runs a successful bike program. Fresno, these different cities run bike share programs, and we've communicated with them our struggles, what we want to do. We want to keep the program thriving, but we also want to expand, but we have a lot of limitations because of grant issues. In the fall, maybe you guys saw it was all over the news. Long Beach launched what was called a bike share library. And what this was to do was to assist with people who did not live necessarily near bike hubs, which is a big problem with the Rialto bike share program, is not everyone lives near a hub, but a lot of people do want access to these bicycles. So what the library system allows people to do is go to a designated location, rent out a bicycle. This requires a face-to-face interaction, ID, as well as your credit card or debit. That way we're also protecting the interests of the city property, and we're also allowing people to rent a bike for an extended period of time, not just an afternoon. Kind of like you'd rent a car or you'd rent a library book, however you want to view it, you can have a bike for an extended period of time. With that product, Long Beach was providing like helmets and all these extra safety accessories, so when they do rent them out, they're extra safe with it. They're also being given additional training on locking the bikes, on putting them in safe designations, or designated spaces that are safe. All of this great planning that went into this. We found out later that Sacramento's doing the same thing. It's thriving. Fresno, Breckenridge, all these cities in the fall, and some in the summer, started to do this program. It was in addition to their bike share program, because ours is unique to the Inland Empire, but not unique to Southern California or California. We've talked to the state, and originally we weren't allowed to expand our program. As you guys remember, you guys have reminded us, can we get some on this side or that side? And we've sadly had to say no because of limitations. I do apologize, but that was the grant rules. There has been some adjustments made by the state, which we're very thankful for. They've agreed that if council is okay with it, we can definitely consider a library system with a minimal amount of bikes in conjunction with what's currently going. They've also given us an approval if we'd like to add several locations on the north side, because some of our other locations aren't working. We are free to adjust that. That way we can start to reach more people. Just because it's not working in one location does not mean a program has to fail. Okay. And our final bit that I want to add is we're trying to add a huge safety element to our bike share program. You'll see the helmet on there. those 60 or so of those helmets were given out at the bike event. In support with Dawn's, they helped get us a really good deal on those helmets, but this program, we are also trying to support or trying to establish a safety program with all bike riders. So if you see that white helmet in Rialto, that's exactly where they got it. We've been lucky enough to see several kids, apologize, dry throat, ride around our community center in those white helmets. So we're really, really, really happy to see there's some safety measures that are taking place now because of this program. And finally, we have had a number of partnerships very quickly. We've partnered with the Metrolink, who have done, we're working on a program right now with them to establish a ride to the train, take the train, ride back to your designated location, home or wherever. Also with Dawn's Bike Shop, Hot 103.9 Radio, who have given us a lot of support and also done announcing on safety and bike protocol in the city of Rialto, as well as clean mobility options and the Energy Commission in the state of California. If you guys have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer them.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you for the presentation. I think, I see Councilmember Vaca. He had a question.
Yeah, thank you. I think the program is great. I think it provides not only an opportunity for individuals to enjoy riding the bikes to and from one place, but it provides a health environment too as well for many of the individuals. My question would be is, are you reassessing or reevaluating the locations of where the bikes are at? Because we want to be, I guess, cost effective in terms of the usage of the bikes and what locations. And then the other is, what locations that the bikes went missing, because then we need to reassess that, because anytime we send out law enforcement out there, that's costing the city money too as well. So is there a particular area where these bikes continue to be missing from a certain area? Can you let us know?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the original 11 locations, one of them was on Acacia. We were very excited about this location because it was adjacent to restaurants, to all kinds of facilities that people would want to ride to. Sadly, this was on a corner where, I'm not too sure why, but it was, there were a number of thefts that happened there, and it happened very quickly. I want to say we had 3 in 1 month, and at that point, we talked to our bike provider, and we told them we're going to remove that immediately. I know that's only 3, but that could add up very quickly, and if somebody is choosing to, I guess, hinder the progress in this program, we're going to relocate. But to be fair, the rentals on Acacia were quite low. So we didn't feel like it was going to impact the community in that region significantly. So that's a major factor when we decide if we're going to relocate or stop putting a bike somewhere, period. Another location that we've had some slight thefts on is Riverside in San Bernardino. We have been very lucky.
South end of
Yes, sir.
Rialto.
Yes, sir. We have been very lucky to recover all of those bikes that were stolen. However, the location, we contemplated stopping that location because of the quick thefts. Again, this one was, I want to say, back in September, these 2. And once we realized quickly it was an isolated incident, we kept it because it was adjacent to the gym, and we wanted to make sure we gave the community that access to, if you want to ride to the gym, you can get off. Not to mention, there's also that sight from the main road and from the gym that provides a sense of security, and theft has stopped significantly from there. But these are major factors that we consider when we stop or we lower the amount of bikes that are actually located there. The only place, though, that we haven't been able to, that we are constantly reevaluating is the Pacific Electric Trail. It is a hot spot. We get so many rentals from there. However, it's also in a space where somebody could easily steal a bike, which is, it's a bittersweet location. I mean, it's a fantastic spot. You can get on the trail. We track the GPS all the time, so people ride to Fontana and back and make an afternoon of it. I know several city employees do the same thing. When it comes to that, we just notify, we've been sending out like leaflets to the community about awareness about the bikes and whatnot and where they are. And we're hoping that in some small way, the community could be a little bit more supportive, and if they do see something suspicious, contact us. But I hope that kind of answers your question.
What is the length of time that someone can use the bike?
Any length, to tell you the
Any
truth.
length? So you
There's
just
no
rent it
cutoff
and
point.
You can use it the rest of the day?
100%. Your only issue you're going to have is you're going to the power is going to decrease after about, say, 24 to 36 hours of consistent use. The battery will start to go down. There's a little light on there. It'll probably transition from the green to about blue, not to mention the app that you have to use to download on your phone. We'll also notify you of your bike's percentage. It'll tell you, you're down to 50%, 30%, 20%, and warn you that you probably should go back to a hub, swap out bikes, consider that option.
Have you considered, I don't know, having some of these locations at our parks?
100%. We have thought about that, and we've had the conversation that all of our parks are actually locked up with gates. And we don't ever want to put a citizen in a situation where they cannot return a bike for a location that the app shows as a designated location. We're worried that would be a safety hazard, someone trying to jump over a fence, leave a bike at a undesignated space because we locked out the community from access to the roads.
No, our parks are pretty much well open, whether it's Simpson Park out here, or whether it's Frisbee Park or Ferguson Park, where they can ride around the bike, where they can rent them.
True.
For health purposes, and we promote health.
I was thinking the yellow gates, though. I didn't want,
They're locked at night.
because all those do get locked at night.
Oh,
Yeah.
But the walk paths are open, but I don't think we wanted to promote like people riding the bikes through the paths just to cause unsafe hazard, any kind of hazard to the community. But it is something we've been constantly thinking about, and we've wanted to, but at the same time, we also want to protect our parks and create some kind of progress with the bike program, so it's a challenge.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Did you have a question?
Yeah,
Councilman
definitely.
Freeman?
Right now, we're just talking about city kind of issuance of these e-bikes, but looking to the future, are you looking at expanding to other cities around us? And I'm only asking that because of the geography of the city is like, it's pretty, limiting. There's opportunities like you mentioned going down the trail, but again, that would constitute going through Fontana, maybe Rancho. So what are your prospects of kind of going beyond the city limits where you can actually do the ride sharing across city borders?
Right, so that's something we've discussed as well, and that's a challenge that the grantor is not allowing us to address right now. They're concerned, technically this is Rialto property, these bicycles, and they're concerned that there could be, even if we did say partner with Fontana, which is our neighboring community, which we connect directly to with the bike program, they don't want us to necessarily develop a program for a community that doesn't have a set program, and for a community that doesn't have, it would require additional insurance too, not to mention. There's just a lot of additional costs incurred. We would have to insure our bikes to be on their property for damages and theft, and it's a great idea, it really is, because it's something we've been talking about, because there's rumors out in Rancho that they might get a bike program, or they're working on it. They're on the very early stages, and it would be so great to connect and have that friendship, but
We have those trails. I mean, we have the San Andreas Trail, we have this electric trail. Those are perfect places for these bikes. It's just a matter of interconnecting with other communities.
Oh, and the software issue, I didn't mention that.
Okay.
So our software won't necessarily communicate with their software, and we'd also have to worry about payment methods and that form of communication. I think it would be possible, but our grant provider would have to win that bid for a neighboring city, and that's a big ask, I know, but it could happen. For all the softwares to link, it would be lovely. Sorry, so I know that's not the answer you want, but that's the sad truth. I apologize.
Again, it was just a question. I think it's, I think it's a good program to have locally. It's just looking out into the future of trying to find ways to kind of use it outside. A lot of, people like to go shopping all around, not just in our city, but, again, I was just kind of looking at kind of more of the future. And maybe there's ways to kind of expand the program outside.
And if I could be 100% honest, when the program does end and there is a transition to the point when the city has to decide, do they want to continue to fund this program? This is something that definitely could happen because we wouldn't be under the rules and restrictions of the grant provider at that point. So this definitely could be something we see in the next, few years.
And when is that date?
Technically, we are supposed to end our grant in 2026,
Okay.
but there was a slight extension because of our late launch in the bike share program because of unforeseen issues. Technically, we do have enough funding to last probably well into early 2028.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, thank you. Good information. My only thing, you just said it at the end, was what I see remaining ballot, but that's available, and you've pretty much expended 2/3 of the budget. So hopefully, if we continue with the expenditures, I don't know if we will make it to the end of 2028 with just what the grant has available. But I'm just reading what I have here. I think overall it's a good program. I'm glad to see that you're looking to add some other locations up on the north end, which would really help people, especially up by the Renaissance in North Lilac. So
We talked to Renaissance this morning, if that gets you guys excited, because I know it got me excited, and we're working with Shinyan Management to hopefully get a bike stand by summer by the movie theater.
okay, that'll be great.
It would be fantastic. I think the community would really respond well to it.
All right, well, good. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you all very
Really
much.
appreciate it. Thank you. And now I have one last presentation, and that's going to be presented by Councilmember Trujillo. It's a memoriam for Mr. Gil Navarro.
Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. Good evening, Mayor, my colleagues, Mayor Pro Tem Andy Corrales, Councilmember Scott, and Councilmember Baca, and the rest of the audience here. I just wanted to pay tribute to one of our local leaders who passed away recently, Gil Navarro. He served as, he's a student advocate, but he also served as a county school board member, a water board member, and most recently as on the Behavioral Health Commission for the County of San Bernardino. And so I have this memorial resolution. I'll just read off. It says, in memoriam, Gil Navarro, June 27, 1942 to April 6, 2024. Gilbert Roland Navarro was born June 27, 1942 to Joseph and Isabel Navarro. He always talked about when he was 17 and he joined the Navy with his parents' permission. He was so proud to be the Mexican culture, but serving for the United States of America, the country he loved. He'd go on to father 5 kids, Reggie, Laura, Damon, Joseph, and Derek. Though he had a variety of jobs and positions over the years, he found his true calling and life's passion helping kids in the academic world. From this point on, he dedicated his life to help families fight for their rights for education. He would represent them in expulsion meetings where he was highly successful in getting them reinstated. He'd help them apply for scholarships and work with them to get financial aid documents and college applications filled out. Gil was a guiding light, a source of wisdom and inspiration to all who knew him. His passion for education was infectious, and his life goal of helping others achieve their goals knew no bounds. Gil's unwavering dedication to uplifting those without a voice was not just a mission, but a way of life. His impact on countless lives is immeasurable. His dedication to guiding and supporting students speaks volume about the kind of person he was. The legacy he leaves behind in the hearts and minds of those he mentored is a testament to his compassion, wisdom, and generosity. May his memory continue to inspire and his teachings live on through the lives he touched. Gil Navarro's legacy for higher education and his goal for sticking up for the little guy will live on forever. He believed that all education was attainable and always reinforced his core belief of no excuses. And it's signed by our Mayor, Deborah Robertson, as well as my colleagues on here. We have here the President, Europa Valley School District, School Board, his son, Joseph Navarro, and I'd like to give him a time to kind of speak as well.
Thank you, Raphael. I really appreciate that. Mayor, City Council, thank you for having us here tonight.
Thank you.
It's no secret that my dad loved education. You know, Joe Baca, I know you knew my dad, and he help support you in all your elections. And I remember putting up signs with him in my 20s, helping you get elected. And his legacy will live on, and the hole in the heart of our family and the community is huge. My dad was selfless. You know, there would be no kid, no student he would help. You know, he had to run a business, but if it came down to where you were low income, he would help you. And he would go to the meetings, he would go to IEP meetings, and my dad was a large personality, and I know that. And sometimes he was a little much to deal with as a dad, but you know, as Raphael said, I am president of the school board in the Hooper Valley, and I owe all those titles to my dad. You know, my dad, after, you know, having some offices, he would decide to run for office, and he lost, and he lost, and he lost, and he continued to run, and he lost. And on the 13th time, he got elected to the San Bernardino County School Board, and that just always taught me and our family to continue on, to always try, to never give up, and I'm not going to get emotional here. But I just want to thank you guys for that. You know, it's appreciated. He loved Rialto. I know he worked with the special education and with you guys, and education and community was his passion. So again, I want to thank you, Raphael, for reaching out to me. It means a lot. My dad talked about you a lot, and again, I really appreciate it. And this will hang up in my office, and I'll see it every single day. So thank you.
Go ahead, Councilmember Baca.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Yes, I knew your dad, and I think he helped me for every one of my campaigns that I was involved in, not only with the school board, when I ran for the college board, the assembly, the Senate, and then, of course, United States Congress. But he also wanted help, too, as well.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I helped him with all those elections that he won and lost.
You did,
as well.
You were there.
But he was one individual, though, that really cared about people. He touched many of the individuals' lives in our community. He was one that wouldn't take no for an answer, especially in special education. And he dealt with a lot of individuals that were bilingual. And yet, when I asked him, do you speak Spanish, Gil, he says, no, I don't speak Spanish. But yet he represented every one of these individuals, and he won many of the cases.
He did.
For these kids. And a lot of people don't know that. It changed their lives. A lot of them went on to become, educated. Others became, well, there's even another one that's on a school board in San Bernardino that he helped out. But he always cared about people, and that's what I really appreciated about him. And then, of course, he always asked for a contribution. So he said, Joe, you got to write me a check. So I wrote him a check every time he asked for a check. But Joseph, his legacy will continue to live on because he set the tone for a lot of people in our communities. It's the Inland Empire that he represented, not just San Bernardino. Each of our communities here in Rialto and Fontana, even up in the Pomona area. Like you said, he never said no to anyone. He never, when somebody asked him for help, he was there, and he was willing to give of his time. And I know that I appreciated him very much as a friend, as an individual that I got to know and admire, because his tenacity to continue to always want to strive to do better for our communities, and he'll be missed. But I know he's with the Lord right now because he gave so much of himself. And when you give of yourself for others, because he wasn't rich, but he gave everything he had. And that's what the Lord says in our Bible when we read it. It says, it's not about what we have, but it's if we're willing to help others. And he was always willing to help others, and I thank him very much. And thank you, too, as well, because you're an example of what he has done, and now you're a school board member and a leader in Jurupa. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baca. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I had the pleasure of knowing it and working with your dad and interacting with him quite a bit on a number of things, more on the party lines. But he was very passionate, and you should be proud of yourself. He would be proud of you because you actually he accomplished it, and now you're holding office. So
thank you.
Continue to see you, and my condolences.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night, you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks again, sir. Really appreciate it.
Okay. Now we will move to oral communications, Ms. City Clerk. Veronica Perez.
Good evening. I hope you all took your time off this past weekend to remember service members who paid the ultimate sacrifice. I stand before you a dismissed veteran. You all heard me speak at the last city council meeting, and I believe my message was very clear. Maybe I did not use the right language to convey my request. Maybe I rushed through my reasoning and perspective, or maybe you all assumed I would go away and you would not have to hear from me again. Let me be very clear now. Your silence is complicity in genocide of Palestinians. Again, I request this city council draft and pass an immediate and permanent ceasefire resolution like so many other California cities have done. I'd like to paraphrase a U.S. human rights attorney, Qasim Rashid, who makes a strong argument for why me asking you to pass a ceasefire resolution is part of your business as a city council. In the United States, there is historical precedent for city councils to prevent our tax dollars being used to harm innocent civilians. When President Reagan and Congress's efforts to fight apartheid South Africa were insufficient, more than 90 U.S. cities acted to divest billions from South Africa. That local activity helped generate the thrust for a victory in 1968 with the passage of the Comprehensive Anti-Apartheid Act, a bill so popular by then that it won over the veto of President Reagan. City leaders overpowered even the President of the United States. We can address divestment after we stop the genocide. Right now, we need strong leaders who are not afraid to act. Strong leaders like the many from the Biden administration who have resigned in opposition to his no red lines policy. Josh Paul resigned from the State Department last October after serving for 11 years in the Bureau of Political Military Affairs, which is the U.S. government entity most responsible for the transfer and provision of arms to partners and allies. He currently co-chairs an independent task force on the application of National Security Memorandum 20 to Israel, which released a report in April detailing Israel's use of U.S. provided weapons in ways that are in violation of international humanitarian law and U.S. military best practices. The report also details how Israel has restricted the provision of humanitarian assistance into Gaza, including through strikes on humanitarian convoys, which I'm sure you all heard of, the World Food Program humanitarian workers who were murdered. On May 15th, Lily Greenberg Call resigned as a special assistant to the chief of staff at the Interior Department to protest, quote, President Biden's disastrous continued support for Israel's genocide in Gaza. Lily is the first Jewish appointee to resign and wrote in her resignation letter, quote, I reject the premise that one people's salvation must come at another's destruction. It's disastrous for American foreign policy, for sentiment towards Americans abroad. It's disastrous here at home. I agree with her. My stance on this is not informed by TikTok videos like so many politicians would have you believe. I listen and learn from people who are much smarter than I am as experts in their fields. In December of last year, 55 scholars of the Holocaust and genocide studies, many of whom themselves are Jewish, wrote the following, quote, the time for concerted action to prevent genocide is now. We call on our governments to uphold their legal obligations under the UN Convention of the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide by implementing an arms embargo on Israel. The time to act is now. We must speak up together and tell Congressman Pete Aguilar that we will not be complicit in genocide. If I'm not convincing you alone, then I will be sure to mobilize more citizens who do not want their tax dollars being used to fund a genocide. Believe me when I say this, I will not be deterred, and I refuse to be dismissed. You have my contact information on that piece of paper, and I look forward to discussing a ceasefire resolution with you in your offices. Thank you.
Thank you. Marco Antonio.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Marco Antonio Villalobos, soy presidente de Rialto United. Hace 2 meses vine a hacer una petición para las canchas que me suspendieron por un problema que hubo en diciembre.
Good afternoon, City Council. I'm coming to you as a representative of the Rialto Youth Soccer League, and he comments that he's been here 2 months before about an issue he faced with his league.
Hace un mes tuve una reunión con Mr. Scap y Cynthia, y yo pensé que iba a haber buenas noticias, pero al contrario, todo fue peor para mi situación.
A month ago, I had a meeting with Ed Scott and Cynthia Alvarado. I was hoping to receive positive news about the matter at hand, but I did not get that resolution.
Yo estoy tratando de solucionar el problema por el problema que tuve, pero no he podido y he tratado de contactar a Cynthia para que me haga una reunión para aclarar las cosas, cómo estoy manejando la Liga Rialto United, pero no tiene esa posibilidad. Ahorita están las cosas peor, ya no me atiende, es peor.
He was hoping to reach resolution with Cynthia, and he doesn't feel like he's gotten any clarification on the issue at hand. He has contacted her, and he feels that he is running out of options.
Casi no tenemos dónde entrenar ahorita, y ahorita un equipo representó otra vez a Rialto y quedó subcampeón de la Copa Pachuca de primera división profesional, y de ahí van a agarrar 5 jugadores para Barcelona de España, de Europa, se van a ir en agosto.
So he mentions that his team is a winning team. They've won an internationally recognized World Cup, and 5 of those players are being picked and drafted to play for a team in Spain.
Pues yo estoy tratando de hacer las cosas bien. Yo no cometí el error. Estoy tratando de hacer las cosas bien, pero no sé qué está pasando. Y el detalle es que en un mes van a abrir el Jerry Spar, y no sé si me van a dar la oportunidad de seguir entrenando a mis niños de Rialto. Yo quisiera saber eso para no estar vuelta y vuelta, porque no me dan una solución y no está en mis manos. Ya me duele la cabeza, me puedo enfermar y no tengo una respuesta, la verdad.
He says he's not getting an answer on the issue at hand. He comments that he's waiting to hear back about trying to play at Jerry Eves Park, and he feels like the resolution is not coming. He wants his kids to be able to play.
Pues ahorita los coaches me están preguntando, pero la verdad no tengo una respuesta, y yo estoy atrás de ellos, y ellos están dispuestos a venir, porque la liga es de Rialto, pero más que todo estamos jugando en Jacobs Middle School, porque en Jerry's Park no tenemos suficiente espacio para hacer el torneo, y es un poquito el que la gente no sabe lo que está pasando, pero no vale poner a explicarle lo que está pasando.
So he says that at the moment they are practicing at JHU because he feels that the space at Jerry Eves is inadequate. It's too small. His coaches have been trying to ask what they need to do in order to meet the guidelines, and that he stands behind them in their fight to get this done.
Y yo creo que como está al tiempo que falta, yo pienso que es muy complicado, la verdad, muy complicado, es lo que yo pienso, y también pues los padres me están diciendo, porque un equipo de Fontana está entrenando en el Samsung Park, lo cual yo tengo años tratando de, como le dije la vez pasada, de agarrar el permiso, pero siempre me lo negaron, y era un equipo de Fontana está entrenando 2 veces por semana, y a mí no me dan la posibilidad de entrenar.
So he mentions a team from Fontana that has been allowed to play at Joe Sampson Park. He mentions that he has been trying to get permission to play there, and he has not been able to do so. He's received this information through parents that are connected to the team.
Como le dije la vez pasada, yo tuve que ir a Fontana a aplicar para los campos, y hay 189 antes que yo para yo agarrar permisos para entrenar, y lo cual lo veo lógico porque la Liga de Rialto tiene 20 años de experiencia, y pues me ha costado mucho, pero estamos yendo adelante, estamos trabajando, y por el bien de los niños hubo un problema que no se ha solucionado, pero no está en mis manos, porque no puedo solucionar, no está en mis manos, como lo repito.
So he says he feels the issue is out of his hands, and he's frustrated. He says that The Rialto Soccer League has over 20 years of experience. They should be able to deal with this issue.
Y pues yo lo que quiero saber si de verdad tengo la posibilidad de regresar a Jerry's para entrenar porque empieza en julio, falta un mes, para yo decirle a mis coaches qué es lo que tomaron la decisión, pero lo más pronto posible, por favor, porque yo quiero saber qué es lo que está pasando para yo notificarlos a ellos, por favor.
He wants to know what is happening because a month from now, they're looking to continue to play at Jerry Eves in July. And all the coaches are preparing for the season, and he kind of needs to find resolution for this.
La regla número 1 de Rialto United es cero tolerancia a la violencia. Y si ustedes están invitados, nosotros jugamos los domingos en J.G. Middle School, pueden a contactar a Josh Palma y les va a dar muchas referencias. Hay personas que desgraciadamente no me quieren, pero no está en mis manos, que Dios me los bendiga.
So the number one rule of the soccer league is for no violence. He mentions that he has references to provide, that his league does not infringe on those, and that God bless his team for trying their best.
Cuando pasó el problema, yo los equipos los corrí. No sabía, nunca me había pasado eso, pues me faltó mejor experiencia, cometí un error, pero yo pienso que 5 o 6 meses de castigos para mí es suficiente porque en todas pasan y es la primera vez que pasa en mi liga, pero no estuvo en mis manos. Muchas gracias.
He says that he feels that 5 to 6 months of the punishment term for violating the rules is what he feels is appropriate. He wants to get back to his league, and he thanks you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Marco. I think that's what I got. And Robert, would you let him know that I would ask that the interim city manager would ask the department heads to maybe, we have his name and address on the public record, to give him a response in writing with regards to the resolution. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Those are the only 2 speakers we have on the oral communication.
Thank you. That concludes oral communication. And now we will move to the council looking at the agenda and letting us know if there's anything that we need to consider removing or continuing any items on the agenda, or if there's anything of a conflict, or if there's anything you'd like to pull to have discussed before we act on the consent calendar.
I have a question on F2.
Yeah, what?
A question on F2?
F2? Okay. Let me see. Anyone else? If not, I can ask if you would like to ask a question. Councilmember Baca, you have a question?
No, I was just going to move the consent item.
Okay. Did you want to ask a question before we act?
Definitely. I saw the map for F2, and I see the schools that are covered by the proposed improvements for Safe Routes to School. I just want reconfirmation. I think I might have heard it. I just want to publicly find out. You know, it only goes as far west as Rialto Middle School, but again, there's a couple, there's 2 school districts that are in the city of Rialto, but in Fontana Unified School District, is it Mayfair?
Yeah, that's correct. There's 4 schools that are within the city of Rialto, but are outside of the Rialto Unified School District.
And those are within the county plan, correct?
Correct, but we're also, part of the plan update is we're proposing to include those that weren't originally part of the current Safe Routes to School plan.
Okay, so they'll be included maybe in the future?
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, any other questions? If not, would you like
So move.
move to pass the consent? Okay, and you're seconded. Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Baca and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Carazellis to move on the consent calendar. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. First item coming up now is tab 1. And that is, okay. This is a public hearing, and hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. This evening, I request that the City Council conduct a public hearing for the placement of liens for delinquent refuse collection accounts for the 4th quarter of 2023. On April 23rd of 2024, the City Council approved the request to set the public hearing for this evening, May 28th, to review and consider the placement of liens related to delinquent refuse. Notices were mailed to the owners of the properties shown in Attachment 1 on May 3rd of 2024. At this time, I would request that the City Council conduct the public hearing, take public testimony, and consider the placement of liens against the delinquent properties identified on Exhibit A of the resolution, and adopt Resolution Number 8226, authorizing the filing of liens against the properties for delinquent refuse accounts with the San Bernardino County Auditor Controller Recorder's Office. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone who has expressed interest to speak on the item?
No.
Okay. Well, with that, I will entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Carrizales to close and seconded by Councilmember Trujillo. Any objections? Hearing none, the public part is closed. And does anybody have any questions or concerns from the dais on the information? Not? Can I entertain a motion to move on? So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Trujillo and seconded by Councilmember Baca to proceed with the liens. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. We're on tab number 2. All right, and tab number 2, I guess, will be presented by Mr. Gonzalez on behalf of Mr. Cataldi. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Paul Gonzalez, Community Development Manager. Before you tonight is a proposed Quick Car Wash, proposed in the northeast corner of Foothill Boulevard and Linden Avenue. And we should have a PowerPoint coming up. There it is. So before you tonight is a specific plan amendment number 2022-0001, conditional development permit number 2023-021, precise plan of design 2023-027, and environmental assessment number 2023-035. The applicant for the project is Mr. Scott Beard. As mentioned, the proposed project is located on the northeast corner, Foothill Boulevard and Linden Avenue. The project site is surrounded by an existing shopping center on the east side, which is the Food for Less shopping center. To the west is an existing small commercial area where they do reupholstering of car seats. To the south, of course, is the Home Depot. And to the north is an existing vacant residentially mixed-use zoned piece of property. The applicant is proposing a specific plan amendment within the Foothill specific plan. The change would go from residential mixed-use planning area to a commercial pedestrian. Currently, commercial is allowed on the site. However, the commercial pedestrian would allow for a car wash. Here's a site plan of the proposed site. The building is proposed on the corner of Linden and Foothill. Looking at the site, the applicant wanted a nice corner statement, so that's why they put it on the corner. Trying to be looking out for the property to the north, which is residential. They wanted to locate the blowers as close to Foothill as possible, which what they did. There's two entranceways, one off of Linden and the main one off Foothill Boulevard. So they would go into the site, circle around, and enter the car wash closest to Linden Avenue. There is room for 14 cars to be in the drive aisles off of the street. The applicant's proposing the typical quick car wash colors with the green trim, beige, and split face tan block. The project was before the Planning Commission on May 15th, and it was recommended approval that the council approve the project. We did have one speaker at that meeting, which was a property owner to the north, who was in favor of the project as well. So staff is available to answer any questions and recommends the council approve the project as stated in the staff report. And the applicant is also here to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing. Madam City Clerk, was there anybody who put in a request to speak on this item?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
So move. Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Baca, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Carazellis, to close the public hearing portion, the public's portion. Any objections? Hearing none, it's closed. And now, what's the pleasure? Any questions or comments from council? Yes,
I have
Councilmember Baca.
a comment. I happened to drive by there, and I saw the vacancy. The property is currently vacant, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
Yeah, then, and seeing it, I think this is positive for the city of Rialto to have a car wash in that area, because there isn't anything in that area. There are some a little bit further on down the area. And I was very curious, and I says, I'm gonna drive by there to see exactly where this is gonna be located. And I thought it was a good project that could go in the area. It would bring in additional revenue to the city of Rialto as well, and sales taxes that are done in that area. So with that, I'd just like to make approval. Move approval.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, well, there's been a motion by Councilmember Baca, and I heard 2 seconds. I will go with, I heard the second and second. I'll go with Mayor Pro Tem Carazellis on second. And is there any objections? Hearing none, okay.
Just but for the
Motion carried.
record,
Excuse me.
I understand.
I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
no, I was
sorry.
just looking at the exit entrances. The exit is really nice because it's further away from the traffic light, so it looks like it's really nicely set up. Because it tends to be like a really busy area. It's just there's a couple complexes nearby, but it's set up so that it has some distance away from the actual traffic light as well. So just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm
Yeah,
sorry that I
Madam
didn't,
Mayor, may
excuse me,
I,
but let me just, for the
okay.
record, say that I'm sorry, I didn't see that you wanted to make a comment. I did
Yeah.
hear you when you said second, so I
Yeah,
didn't know
second.
that you wanted a comment as well. Now, Madam City Clerk?
Just for clarification for the record, I want to make sure that the motion was by Councilmember Baca and second by Mayor Pro Tem, but with the resolution 8227 approving Pacific Plan Amendment Master Case number 2023-036, number 2024-001, and also resolution 8228 approving condition development permit number 2023-0021, and the third resolution 2829 approving precise plan of the design number 2023-0027, and environmental assessment review for 23-0035. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, it's still, with that, any objections? Hearing none, the motion carries with the information read into the record. So now we're on to, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Now we're on to tab number 3. Now we presented by our Police Chief.
Hello, Madam Mayor,
Clean.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. So I've been here before you with this type of a request, and I didn't think I was going to have to do it again, but here I am. So what we're asking for is for you to adopt Resolution 8230, appointing an interim police captain, and approve the employment agreement with Mr. Andrew Carroll, who's a retired police captain in our city, who you all know. So tonight, what we're requesting council to do is proceed with the recruitment for a permanent police captain, and this is all pursuant to PERS and the annuitant, which I know our city attorney discussed with you when we brought our interim city manager. So just bear with me so I can go through what's required of me to provide this a little bit of back information for you. So one of our captains, Captain Vega, has accepted a position right next door, which you are all aware of, as police chief, and that leaves a vacancy for us here in the city. Frankly, not to get into the promotional process, but it'll be an internal process. but it would not be fair for me to put in an acting captain, and that's really the reason why I'm looking to put in an annuitant to provide the extra, or our lieutenants with an opportunity to test fairly. It'll take about 6 to 7 months for that process. It's anticipated that Captain Vega will be leaving our city sometime in June. We thought it was going to be the first part of June, but he's just awaiting the start date next door. So as I have asked in the past, what I'm going to ask of you tonight is just allow me to add a third captain position, even though it's an interim. And then once Captain Vega leaves the city, then we'll just go back down to 2. So that's really what tonight is about. Captain
Move for
Carroll.
approval. Second.
Thank you.
With the objection that Captain Vega can't go anywhere. We just said
No, but
3.
Captain Carroll is here. Just
I see
want you
him,
to-
but I said Captain Vega as well.
Well,
Excuse me,
home, Captain Carroll.
Councilmember Baca has a question.
Yes, I'm not against the motion, but I'm just concerned in one sense that we didn't allow for upward mobility in some of our local officers to possibly become a captain versus having an interim at this point. Because I believe that in any kind of position that there should be abilities for our members to climb that ladder. And I thought this would have been an excellent opportunity to have someone
that's
climb
what you
that
said.
ladder and then someone else climb that other ladder as we begin to promote individuals. And why didn't we go that process?
Excuse
Yes,
me,
so,
the
actually-
chief, can I say, I thought
Yes,
that's what you said.
I did, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just so you understand, right now I've got several lieutenant candidates for captain. It would not be fair to the process nor any of those candidates if I was to appoint a acting police captain. That would not be fair to the rest of the pool. So I think most professional and fair process in this is that upward mobility, which you're correct, but it's just not going to be the captains, because the captain and the lieutenant and also the sergeants and corporals are all going to be incorporated in that process, which will take me about 6 to 7 months. So the upward mobility is there. I had a decision whether I stay inside or whether I go outside. And the decision that I made was to stay inside
Oh, I
because
like
it's
that.
only fair, right? So I think it answers your question, but for the most part, Captain Carroll is well-versed in the city, well-versed in the police department, well-liked and well-respected, and will get us the gap that we need until I can get a permanent captain here.
Like I stated, I wasn't against the motion. I just was concerned about that upward mobility.
It's there, sir. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Well, and I would just like to say, I concur with it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome back, Captain Carroll, but I hope he hasn't left the city, because if he hasn't, we'll finally have one of the management teams that's living back in the city of Rialto.
Still lives on the north end, ma'am.
Excuse me?
He's
I know
still
he
going
hasn't
north
left.
end.
He's
Okay.
at the gym Monday through Friday,
Good,
so
good, okay.
I'll miss you.
And he was there for
Oh, you were
Memorial
sitting
Day.
back there, that's why I'm looking, but I said,
Yeah,
okay.
you can thank grandkids for that. He's never going anywhere.
Oh, good, good. Well, they do influence decisions. Yes.
Not to
Councilman
mention,
Scott.
Chief, they will give Gina a vacation from him.
And Gina's in the back too.
There's always an upside to everything.
Yeah, it's so it'll fill a void. And
Okay.
most importantly, it's going to bring us some stability without it really even skipping a beat until I can get a permanent one in place. So
Yeah.
Thank you so
Well,
much. for your
great.
support.
Well, I think there was no objection to the motion.
But I don't know who made the second.
Well, there was a roaring.
Thank you.
Councilman Scott. Motion by Baca, seconded by Councilman Scott. Oh, motion by Andy.
But I'll take the motion.
Oh, no,
No,
that's all
I-
right.
I
You've
have
had
one.
enough already for
Okay,
the
for,
day.
for my record.
Tab number 4.
Okay, thank you.
You got it, okay. Thank you, guys.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Temp, and members of the City Council. Before you tonight are a few resolutions for your consideration of adoption relating to the ratifications for the Memoranda of Understanding for the Rialto Fire Management Association, the Management Unit of the Rialto Police Benefits Association, the Rialto Professional Firefighters Association, Local 3688, as well as unrepresented management and executive management's resolutions. Also included in the staff report are the resolutions for adjustments to the wage and salary plan, a budget appropriation, and to approve side letters updating the RCA MOU to provide for a like benefit and bonus pay as that of the three groups. The attached memoranda for the RFMA, RPBA Management, and Local 3688 each have 2-year terms from July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2025, and provide for a cost of living adjustment retroactive to July 1, 2023 of 6%. There is another COLA increase of 5% on July 1, 2024. These COLA increases will also be provided to the unrepresented management and executive management groups as outlined in Resolution 8236. A one-time bonus pay of $1,610 will be given to each unit member within these three bargaining groups, as well as to the unrepresented and executive management groups. The three memoranda, as well as the benefits profile for the unrepresented management, have an increase to the medical cash allowance to keep pace with the increasing costs of medical premiums. This amount is $250 per month. Also, each of the groups has specific asks for their membership. For Local 3688, deferred compensation will be provided for their non-sworn membership similar to that of their sworn counterparts. Those unit members who have been employed with the city for at least 5 years will receive $100 a month into a deferred compensation plan. This amount will increase to $500 a month upon 10 years of continuous service with the city. Employees in the RPBA management group will receive 5% fitness incentive for passing a rigorous annual fitness test similar to the physical agility testing conducted in our selection process for our sworn candidates. Those unrepresented management employees not at the executive level will receive a longevity pay dependent upon years of service. Employees who've worked for the city for at least 5 years will receive 3% of base salary, and those who have worked for at least 10 years will receive 6% of base salary. Also included in the staff report are the side letters for the RCA group, which will provide for the same bonus pay of $1,610 to each unit member, and change Article 6 of their MOU to allow the $250 medical allowance to be incorporated as part of their current cafeteria cash benefit. The fully burdened cost of these 2-year agreements for these three bargaining groups, as well as the unrepresented management and executive management, will total $1,760,499. Resolution 8237 requests a budget appropriation of $1,190,270 to cover the costs for the fiscal year 2023-24 budget, which includes a 6% COLA, the increase to the medical allowance, and the one-time bonus pay for each of the groups, including RCA. So with that, it concludes my presentation, and I am available for any questions.
Thank you. I'd like to move the item.
A second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Councilmember Trio. Did you have a question on Councilmember Scott?
No, just a comment.
Okay.
I want to thank you for all your hard work on this, and I want to thank our labor unions, our labor groups for their hard work and coming to the table and doing the right thing. So again, thank everybody involved.
Thank you.
I concur, absolutely. Really do appreciate that we getting this resolved. And I was going to ask Madam City Clerk, do you need me to read all the resolutions?
She read them.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Anyone else have comments? If not,
with the amount of money that we've also kind of given out as a small stipend to all our employees, I think the last time we did something like this was a hazardous pay during the pandemic. So I just wanted to acknowledge it, that it's because of the hard work that they've done for our city that we're open to it, and we're providing this payment to our workforce. So thank you.
Thank you.
So any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Now on to tab number 5. And that's going to be presented by Mr. Sullivan.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of City Council. For Council's consideration tonight is the adoption of Resolution 8238, accepting a CalRecycle local assistance grant in the amount of $274,747, and authorize a purchase order with Claremont Equipment for the purchase of a bark blower through Sourcewell's Cooperative Purchasing Program with a portion of these grant funds.
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you.
It's been moved by Councilmember Scott and seconded by Councilmember Baca. You ought to quit drowning him out. Then pointing that way. Okay, any objections? Thank you, Councilmember Scott. No objections. Item passed. Thank you. Tim's gone. All right. Now the next one up is, again, Tim Sullivan, but I see Mr. Mike Corona is there, so.
Good
Please.
evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Honorable Council. Submitted for your approval tonight is a request for City Council to approve and award a service agreement with CCS Facility Services in the amount of $446,775 for janitorial services in fiscal year 24-25, and authorize the city manager to execute all related documents.
Move approval.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Scott and seconded by Councilmember Trio. Okay, and if there's no other additional questions, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay,
I'm the next tab as well.
you have the next one? Okay, proceed. Thank you.
Submitted for your approval tonight is a request for City Council to award a contract service agreement with West Coast Arborists for tree trimming and removal services for fiscal year 24-25 in the amount of $550,000.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Scott, seconded by Councilmember Baca. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. And they are both here? Okay. All right, and the last item is going to be by the police chief again. And-
Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, tonight is just asking you to adopt budget resolution number 8239, amending the 2023-24 fiscal year budget and recognizing revenue from monies that was not claimed that we've been holding in evidence within 60 days of becoming property to the city.
So approval.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by, was that you, Councilmember Trujillo, and seconded by the choir over here.
Oh, so
I don't know which one. And Mayor Pro Tem Carasellas. Any objections?
So which, who?
Raphael
Okay,
said
thank you.
he.
Okay.
Okay. You're gonna go back to these buttons after a while, where everybody pushes a button real quick. And whoever goes in first, that's who gets it, okay? So that concludes, unless you needed something, that concludes the business portion of the council meeting. And now we have a number of reports. And I would say before we report, I will ask if Ms. Alvarado this time would like to come up and give us what's going on in Rialto for the next, through July. Yeah, and I do note one item was missing.
What is?
Men's Health Awareness Day, June 12th. Sorry. It's not on there, but that's okay. We'll show it up there. Gabe, are you listening?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the council. Here's what's going on in Rialto. We kick off our Summer Movies in the Park series this Friday at Rialto City Park. Fun starts at 7. We'll be showing Elemental. I will be leading the activities, and we're hoping to do a revamp of Double Dare for our youngins to enjoy. On June 1st, we will have the Community Garden Open House at 539 North Acacia Avenue from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Summer camp kicks off on June 3rd at the Carl Johnson Center, Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. The STEM Discovery program will kick off at Joe Sampson on June 7th, and that will be on Fridays from 3 to 6 p.m. Run What You Brung will be June 7th and 8th, Friday night cruise and Saturday car show. I did forget to add the times there, Councilmember Baca, but I will get those out. Movies in the park will be June 14th at Ferguson Park. Fun starts at 7 p.m. Our Summer Glow Senior Social will be at Grace Vargas Senior Center on June 13th from 2 to 4 p.m. Teen Summer Kickoff Pool Party will be at Tom Sawyer Pool from 1 to 4 p.m. Teens must register. It will be on June 15th. On June 19th, we will have the Rialto Juneteenth Jam at Ferguson Park from 4 to 9 p.m. Movies in the Park will be at Margaret Todd on June 21st. We will be showing Sweetwater, and that's a Juneteenth movie in the park night in collaboration with NSG. We will be hosting an 80s pool party at Tom Sawyer Pool from 4 to 9 p.m. on June 22nd. Don't forget our 4th of July event will be at Jerry Eves, 4th of July. Fun starts at 5:30. And then here are all of our save the dates. July is Parks and Rec Month, so this crazy calendar that you see there is all the different activities that we'll have planned throughout our various locations with various activities. We will have more detailed information as we get closer, along with just updated flyers for certain activities. Senior Summer Camp will be July 13th at the Grace Vargas Senior Center from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to see what that looks like for them, and then maybe next year expand it for a week-long program. Rialto Heritage Days will be July 20th at the Civic Center from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. National Night Out will be August 6th at Rialto City Park, 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And that concludes my announcements.
Okay, I have a
Mr.
question,
Alvarado?
but Councilmember Scott has a
You
question.
can't leave the podium. I was just wondering, I don't see on the calendar here, Domino Night.
I'm working on getting that placed in July, sir. I will make sure that you are representing the council there at that domino table.
I'll be more than happy to take on Chief Park.
Absolutely.
As you know, you've taught me how to play dominoes now, and I beat him badly.
Absolutely. I think he wants a rematch.
I had a question as well, Ms. Alvarado. Sorry, there was something that, the domino night just threw me off. I'm sorry. It just, you know, he wants to really play dominoes?
You should ask him what
Oh,
type
I'll be
dominoes
happy
he
to
plays.
challenge you.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. You know why? Because that's what I taught the kids in the holding room when I was the holding room teacher in and they learned how to have tournaments and win money. So come on, bring it on, bring it on. Okay, no money involved? I just had a question. There was, with regards to the upcoming possibility of hosting the National Women's Softball Association. I know it's a special event. It's not something that's being sponsored by our city, but it's coming up, from my understanding, on June 22nd, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. How are we going to help promote that activity on behalf of the fact that we're looking to bring in, they're asking to come and play a regional tournament? But I feel like the next opportunity we have, maybe we'll have a little more clarity, because we have another meeting, June 11th, and maybe we can get some more information. But I was hoping to see that we start letting our community know, because I think you did say that there was a special event application in.
Yeah, they're basically completing the process, and we're just doing the letter of agreement with them, letting them know, you know, what the expectations are, just like we did for their last tournament. We've reserved the park so nobody can rent shelters that day, so we can make sure that they do have enough room for what they are doing, and that there are no conflicts, and that way our community won't be upset because there won't be any parking. I can reach out and see if they're doing any kind of advertising or doing any kind of flyers. They don't normally advertise tournaments, but
Well,
yeah, I can bring that forward.
The reason I asked, because I ran into Commissioner Britt yesterday at the Memorial Day ceremony, and I had mentioned to him the concerns and trying to get the ballparks, the fields that they needed. And I had asked that maybe you could give us, hold a meeting so we'd understand. So has it been resolved, or do they still
So the
going to
issue-
be able to accommodate it all down at Frisbee?
No, they're not going to be able to because Julie's also hosting All Stars and some
Okay.
other things. So what happens is we need to reach out to our other leagues to see if their season is over. And depending on, you know, if they're using the fields because they're going into All Stars or they're holding tournaments as well, will dictate whether we have the available fields for them. If not, we'll reach out to the school district to see what they do have available.
Okay, so we're trying to accommodate, but we're trying to maybe spread it throughout the community and not just accommodate it at one location.
Correct.
All right, good. I will mention that back to Commissioner. And then the other thing, I think I raised it last year. We have a Juneteenth event, and Juneteenth is being celebrated on the Juneteenth, on the 19th by resolution. But I don't understand why we name one of the particular movies in the park as a Juneteenth movie night. Now, I know you said that's in partnership with NSG, Never Stop Grinding, but we don't name any of our other movies in the park that coincide with other events. So I would respectfully ask that we clarify that and not just name the movie in the park, be it a Juneteenth movie on the 21st, when Juneteenth is on the 19th, if you don't mind. I don't understand why we're doing that. That popped up last year, and I raised concerns about that. And I'm asking, why are we continuing to have someone who wants to partner with us, but have it specifically called out?
Because they wanted to partner with the Movies in the Park series, which are held on Friday nights.
But they were doing it before we did Juneteenth.
They were set to do
Yeah.
it, yes.
Yeah, and it wasn't called Juneteenth.
It's not called Juneteenth, it's
It
just,
is. It says Juneteenth movie night. So I'd appreciate, that was a part of the whole resolution for having the day as an actual holiday on the 19th of June. So that's all. Thank you. And now can I have reports? Starting with you?
Okay, well, first of all, I'd like to recognize Dan Jenkins, board member with the West Valley Water District that's here. He's been throughout the meetings. I just wanted to recognize him. Yes, I attended a couple of events. I attended the Elementary Music Spectacular by Rialto Unified School District. These were elementary kids throughout the Rialto Unified School District who performed on that day at Carter High School on May 23rd. It was well attended by many of the parents and the youth that participated. These are future musicians that are going to be somewhere stars probably in the future. Also attended Memorial Day along with our colleagues that were there. Our MC was Ed Scott, and of course our mayor that was there, and Rafa Trujillo was present at that one. I'd like to say that the speaker who spoke on Memorial Day did an excellent job in his presentation and in his message that he did to the audience that was present listening on that particular day. So I want to compliment Mac, who was the speaker on that particular day, on Memorial Day weekend. And then I also attended the, as a speaker, so I was a speaker at the Joseph Chavez Rodriguez VFW Post 8737, where I was one of the speakers along with Supervisor Joe Baca Jr. and Fred Charette from San Bernardino. And these are residents that come from, also from Rialto, that are members of the post that go there as well. So I was, all of the events were well attended. I'm glad that we recognized a lot of our men and women who had served in the military and have given their ultimate life so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have today. And sometimes we take it for granted. And I think any time that we should remember those that died for our freedom, but also for those veterans. Whenever we see a veteran, we should thank that veteran for willing to serve our country in a time of war or in a time of peace. They're making the ultimate sacrifice from their families to serve this country. So again, I just want to thank all of the veterans, and those particularly from those here in the city of Rialto who have served and are currently serving. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Scott?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too attended the Memorial Day event. It was a great event, well attended. As Councilmember Baca stated, the guest speaker's message was right on point and very appropriate at a very difficult time in this country. So I really appreciated the words that he had to speak. And again, I want to thank the young Marines, San Bernardino Young Marines for being there, Rialto Explorers, Rialto Police Department, Rialto Fire Department, Public Works, and of course the city clerk's office, who always does a great job at putting this event together. So again, thank everybody very much, and thank my fellow council members for also attending and showing your support of those who sacrificed their lives for our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Trujillo?
Yes, I'd like to also, we're talking about Memorial Day ceremony. I'd like to just acknowledge the groups that came together. I know that we had a large Fontana contingency at this ceremony. So there's the American Legion out in Fontana was working with our local one. But we also had the Inland Empire Chorus Suite Adelines International. They're from Riverside, but they've been there every year. The Summer Valley Young Marines, the American, like I mentioned, Police and Fire, the Fire Explorers took part in the displays of the different military flags that were displayed during the ceremony. So there was a lot of kind of people that came together. And again, thank you to our city clerk, Barbara McGee, and her team for not just putting the event together, but also putting the lunch together for our veterans across the street. So it was a big production and a lot of work, so I just want to acknowledge that. But there's some other stuff I wanted to talk about. I know when we first heard about the 99-cent stores closing, I was really concerned about the vacancies. But one of the things that we saw over the weekend was just a lot of trash, and so I just wanted to have staff kind of monitor the abandoned properties that are now left. I believe the Foothill and Cedar one was just really bad. There's graffiti on the wall, there's garbage everywhere, and I just want to make sure our staff stays on top of the two properties in our city. And also, one thing that came up also with talking to some of the seniors at the ceremony yesterday, I'm hoping that maybe we could create a project where we can protect our seniors who are crossing into the Rialto Marketplace. So some of the crosswalk is uneven, and there's just a lot of things that we can do to kind of improve the pedestrian experience between the three facilities with the senior center, the Rialto retirement home, the acute center. Many of their clients cross the street to be able to kind of enjoy some of the shopping experiences that we have. So I'm hoping our staff can create a project that can make that crossing walk a little bit safer. And that's one of the comments that we got from some of the seniors. Some of the seniors have to manually roll their wheelchairs. They're not automatic or motor powered. So I'm hoping that we could kind of support whatever conditions our seniors may come in when trying to shop across the street. But I'm hoping to follow up on that too. I have my two interns here that'll help you follow up. This Stephanie Orozco's here, and then we have Sarah Obieta again. But we hope to kind of follow up and make sure that some of those improvements are maybe coming in the near future. So we'll work on that with you. Other than that, I just wanted to thank everyone for all the work they did over the weekend. It was a great event. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to congratulate the Rialto Unified School District class of 2024. We have Carter High School, Rialto High School, and Eisenhower High School, who are all graduating and all are going to have a ceremony at the Toyota Arena next week. And I also want to personally congratulate my daughter, Elise, class president of Carter High School. And secondly, I just want to also congratulate Captain Vega. Is he still here, or did he leave already?
He's over in the corner.
Captain Vega's here. We will miss you. Thanks for all your work, your dedication to this community. I'm happy for your move, but I know you'll be right next door. So, congratulations, and we'll have some trouble getting you replaced, but the chief's working on it, and he has already made some moves to make sure that that void is covered. And lastly, I just want to acknowledge the National Public Works Week. I know that our men and women out there are always taking care of all of the anything and everything that has to do with our streets and pavements. And with that, I want to make sure that with the excessive rain that we had this year, a lot of areas have weeds that are overgrowing in places that are not normal, but one of the areas that I want to make note of is Ayala, just south of Riverside Avenue. The center medium is, it looks like a jungle, so we need to get over there with some, I don't know, a weed whacker or some formula or something, because it's getting really bad, and that area has been a problem even before we have excessive rain. So other than that, oh, one last thing, just to bounce off of Councilman Trujillo's comments with regards to the street crossing. I know this has been brought up in the past, the timing on that light. Is there anyone that could give us an update on whether we've been able to get in there and change the timing or sensors or anything? Can you give us an update, Mr. Sullivan?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So yes, we will go out there again tomorrow and put our eyes on the intersection, but the timing was adjusted probably about maybe 9 months ago, give or take, when it was first addressed by council. Worked with the city's traffic engineer to extend those crosswalk times. So we'll go out and reevaluate it again tomorrow and make further adjustments, as well as any of the ADA barriers that might be there. So just to make the transition smoother for those folks.
Great, thanks. It's good to find out that things just get done and you know, you listen and it just gets done. So thanks for that. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay, well, I will just echo somewhat of what everybody else said about the Memorial Day event yesterday. City Treasurer, I'm sorry we missed you. It was an amazing event. I didn't see you down there, but I know you might have been out riding a motorcycle bike somewhere.
No, every year on Memorial Day, I visit the Riverside National Cemetery to visit my son, my father, and my mother that are interned there.
Okay, yeah, well, the gentleman who came and spoke, Mac McLean, he was part of the detail for the Riverside, and he was very, very interesting, compelling. It was one of the best, Madam City Clerk.
Well, you want to thank the city treasurer.
Well,
He's
thank
the
you,
one-
City Treasurer.
He's the one got the guest speaker this year.
Well, the guest speaker was definitely amazing, and I thought about, I said, wow, well received, and he appreciated, he stayed with the luncheon afterwards, and he socialized with the community, and so it was really good. I had the chance to meet his family, and he brought up a great point. I've asked him if he would be so kind, I've got his card, because he started a program called FLAG, and what it was about is basically helping young people understand the importance of the flag and what the flag means and representing the flag. And I just said it's something that we should somehow have it included in some of the things we do with our Pride Platoon. We should just take the time to help our kids understand some of the protocol for the flag. So I really appreciated that. And it was wonderful, just great turnout. People enjoyed, the weather was great. And then after that, I want to personally have to change from a wonderful thing, but to really raise some concerns that keep being brought out. And I want to start by complimenting personally Chief Kling for taking my texts and my pictures and things. And I'm going to say now publicly, I've spoken with Chief Kling about code compliance officers, and I know he is trying to hire some. But I suggested to him and anyone in the audience, if you happen to be a retired code compliance officer from another jurisdiction or municipality, because I have met some along the way, and you are living in the city of Rialto and you're under PERS, we could appreciate knowing that you're here, and maybe you would want to consider coming in part-time and helping to figure out with the PERS process of at least exceeding no more than 960 hours. It's really important that we have some more people on board to fill some gaps until the chief can really staff up and hire. He says he's going through that process. But I say it because I have said things that I don't know if they're code related. The chief has been taking the calls, and partly because code compliance does fall under the police department. But the things that are going on Foothill Boulevard, I want to just share the things that come to my attention. People mention to me, I know we're doing a general plan update on Foothill Boulevard and on Central, and I would encourage people to take the time, I don't know if it's on our website, to share your concerns, share your comments, so as we get ready to bring this general plan update forward, that things that you're telling me, I tell the residents, you need to tell them. And I know we have a number of customer service portals, and I don't know where I would start to ask, would we get some recap of some of the things that are brought to those various portals' attention of concerns for the residents. One of them is, I know from fire, and I've spoken to the chief before, we have a lot of companies that deal with tires, used tires, changing tires, but the tires are stacked rather high on Foothill in some of those businesses, and I guess I always say it's not about if, it's about when. We talked about it when we had the rainy season. They're stacked. They tend to hold a lot of water. You end up with mosquito-borne unless somebody's. So my question will be, how high can we have tires stacked in a building, in a place, and visible from the street? It's unsightly, but more importantly, if someone wanted in the dead of the night be vindictive and throw a gasoline Molotov cocktail, we would have one heck of a fire going on. And there's two on Foothill that just seem to have them stacked way beyond what I would think would be appropriate to have at a business and be able to see them from the street. So that was one thing. The other thing, I explained to people about the mobile food vendors. They're allowed, they park on the street if they're on the street, and they're not supposed to block the sidewalk, 36 feet, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But lately, we've seen there's been more people who are setting up on the other side of the walkway. While we were in this past week in Las Vegas at the International Council of Shopping Center, we spoke with the property owners of various properties, the city clerk, myself, community development director, and I believe Mayor Pro Tem was there at the booth on Monday morning, about the property. We don't own the property, we don't regulate the property. So these shopping centers that people have concerns about, and one is the example of the old indoor swap meet on Foothill Boulevard. We spoke with Reliable Properties. I'm being told that they're going to be submitting a plan to tear down the building. They own the whole corner now, and redo that. But in the meantime, it's boarded up, it's unsightly. But the mobile vans are out there, got that. But I'm concerned about the flags that they're now putting on their mobile vans, which at some time can be very distractive to the traveling motorists when they're flying and flagging. Not to mention a number of mobile flags are all along Foothill Boulevard. And I just wondered, we had a code compliance that those flags are not supposed to be in the parkway. but some of them are in the parkway. So that was one thing. Yesterday, after a wonderful ceremony, I drove down Riverside Avenue and came back up, and right there on Foothill Boulevard, graffiti on one of the high billboards. I brought it to Chief Kling's attention, and thank you. Someone went out this morning, whoever, and painted the graffiti northbound on Riverside Avenue. So I really appreciate, huh? We turned over to Tim Sullivan. Tim, thank you. But it just didn't make sense that we'd see, you saw big up on the billboard, no sign, no advertisement, just graffiti. And so these are the things that come to my attention, people ask me about all the time. And I have pictures, I send them. I don't mind telling anybody, yes, I take pictures of things that I find people asking me, why are people allowed to do this and that? And I'm gonna, again, encourage anybody who's listening, if you see something, say something, don't necessarily just say it to me. We have a number of people who have they have customer service platforms. They wanna know things, please take the time and bring it to their attention, or email it into the city, to me or any of the council members, so that we can get it addressed. So with that, thank you for the time. And do you have anything? If not,
Yeah, I just wanted to ask to be adjourned in the memory of Rosenda Elizabeth Smiley, a 14-year-old Rialto resident who was killed in a homicide over the weekend in in Huntington Park.
In Huntington Park.
Yes, on
Was
the
that
Balboa
little
Peninsula.
girl? Was that the one?
14-year-old teenager.
Pedestrian?
She was. They're investigating it. It was a family member who just did child cruelty.
Oh.
But it's all over the news, and I just wanted to.
Sorry to hear
acknowledge,
that.
Rosenda Elizabeth Smiley of Rialto.
Okay, all right. So with that, Madam City Clerk, you have your light on. Did you have something you would like to add? How about you, City Treasurer?
Thank you. I leave for my motorcycle ride across country on Monday, June the 3rd, and should be back on June 12th.
Travel safe.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're not taking Summer with you, though, are you?
Keep trying to figure out how to do that.
Okay, all right. Anything else? If not, City Manager, any comments you'd like?
Just briefly, I'd like to thank the council for changing your schedule and accommodating our request for a 4 o'clock budget work session on the 11th of June. We appreciate that. Assistant City Manager Williams and Interim Finance Director Alvarado are working hard on the budget. We'll get it presented. We will get it to you prior to the workshop. So thank you very much for doing that for us. Also, looking forward tomorrow to a committee meeting on water and economic development with Mayor Robertson and Councilmember Ed Scott to learn more about the city. So I'm looking forward to those two meetings. That's all.
Thank you. And City Attorney, anything? So without that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Carazellis and seconded by Councilmember Tree Hill. Any objections? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.